industry this week, American taxpayers have bought themselves a lemon. Pucker up, everybody, because Chrysler is driving away with billions in loans that will not be paid back. The Watchdog on Wall Street is all revved up about this. Please welcome Chris Markowski. How you doing, buddy?
You're shocked by that?
No, I'm not shocked by that. That's just what the tease said. So, first of all, how many billions are we talking about right here?
Oh, Chrysler, it's close to 15 billion. That's just from the money that they got from TARP last fall. Not to mention, if you take a look at the whole structure of the deal for Chrysler, what you're really looking at is a situation where they're going to be getting more money as they're coming out of bankruptcy. So we're even on the hook for even more money going into this company, and we're going to be driving around in Fiats, I guess, really soon.
By decree?
Andy, I think we could bench press those cars. They're not very big. We're going to probably see gasoline prices up around, I mean, my prediction, $6, $7 a gallon in order for these auto companies to work. That's the only way. I mean, if you're going to basically have to force Americans to drive in these tiny cars, and the only way you're going to do that is going to be much higher gasoline prices.
Wow. You know, I wanted you to weigh in on what we were talking about earlier, talking about this GM retreat in Arizona that people are all up in arms about. It's sort of the du jour thing to get upset about people, you know, executives golfing and so forth, but this is the way they do business, is it not?
First and foremost, you got to understand who was buying, who they were entertaining there. They were entertaining the Hertz, the Avises. This is 27% of their business. This is the fleet buyers, the corporate clients, they're the people that are going to go out and spend money. And if they're trying to convince them, you know what, get rid of all those old GM cars and get the new Camaros because they're going to be great, this is a way you're doing it. Not to mention the fact, you know, I paid my way through college. When I first moved to New York City, I waited tables and bartended.
Me too.
What about all those people that work in these hotels and restaurants and catering halls? If people and businesses stop spending, they're going to be out of a job.
President Obama has outlined his plans to close down corporate tax loopholes.
Today, I'm announcing a set of proposals to crack down on illegal overseas tax evasion, close loopholes, and make it more profitable for companies to create jobs here in the United States.
But many experts say his plan will do just the opposite. So will it work? Here to work it with us is the Watchdog on Wall Street, Chris Markowski. Chris, good morning.
Pleasure.
Okay, so President Obama wants to overhaul taxes that he says reward companies for shipping jobs overseas and also allow the rich to evade taxes with offshore accounts. So he says his plan is going to save taxpayers $210 billion over the next decade. Let's weigh the pros and cons of his plan.
Okay. First and foremost, I agree with him wholeheartedly when it comes to the offshore bank accounts and the Cayman Islands and all this nonsense. It's been a big thing of mine. I said we tax working people here in the United States. We do not tax wealth, and that's unfortunate, and we really need to go after that. As far as the situation in regards to corporations, I really think he's off base with this. Corporations need to be competitive. Now, if our tax rates, corporate tax rates, are going to be different than competing companies from around the globe, businesses are just going to flow in that direction. Corporations don't pay taxes. If you and I went out to get a cup of Starbucks, we are paying Starbucks' corporate tax rate. It's priced into everything that we buy. We're in a perpetual state of paying taxes here in this country, and that's one thing that people don't understand. Corporations are nothing more than a tax ID number and a logo, and the flow-through comes to us.
Okay, so do you think this part of his plan needs further study? People are saying this because they say, hey, some of what he's proposing has been around before. JFK proposed something like this back in '61, but it just hasn't come to fruition. We have about 30 seconds.
You take a look. The tax code is over 9 million words long. So basically, any shark, any type of lawyer, any type of great accountant is going to be able to find all sorts of loopholes and all sorts of problems with it. I suggest encasing it in lead and shooting it into the sun and starting over again.
All right, well, if you have any questions for Chris, he will be in the chat room all morning long.
We've been talking all things financial with our money guy, Chris Markowski, the Watchdog on Wall Street. He's back. People are very fired up about this story about GM having the sales conference, some people calling it a spa retreat in Arizona to try to get these fleet buyers to buy more of GM cars. We're talking about Hertz and so forth, people to buy in bulk, essentially.
Yes.
Julie, and Kia and I have been going back and forth all morning long. Julie agrees with Kia. She says it's time to change the way these companies do business. The high roller days are over, and the fleet companies, GM is trying to woo. If they don't understand that, then they are as blind as our government. Keep the money in Detroit.
If they don't understand that, they can go to Toyota, I guess. I mean, we want to lose the business?
Okay.
I mean, someone else is going to woo them, or get them to go over. I mean, it's a competitive landscape. You're trying to keep clients. You're trying to bring people in. And if this is what it's going to take, a customer that is 27% of your business, I think you're going to want to keep them.
All right, well, yeah, and Mike was kind of taking my side. He says, what's all this crap about Detroit dying? The bailouts have done nothing but prop up unions, a.k.a. the people who live and work in Detroit. Every day we learn that even more money is needed and who's getting the benefit. It's all about President Obama and payoffs to the unions. Talk about why, first of all, you think that these car companies failed.
I mean, this has been going on for years. I don't know if you saw this story. The Chrysler building in Detroit, the Chrysler was actually designed so when the company goes out of business, it can be turned into a mall. That's how long this problem is. They kind of were figuring, we don't know if we're going to make it when they first designed the building. There's problems going back to contracts that go back to the 1960s. I mean, we live in a day and age where we're not dying off at 60 years old. It's guaranteed if you work for 30 years at one of the automakers and you're a union member, you can retire. So you're done at 48 years old. You start a job when you're 18. That's unsustainable. That's a part of the problem. But it's not just the unions. It's also the government. The government dictating to these car makers, telling them what cars to make. If you've got a car, the government coming in saying, you know what, you guys are going to make all these cars, get X amount of fuel economy standards, but you can't make money on these cars, then why do it? The #1 best-selling car in this country, 27 straight years, Ford F-150. Last year, #2, Chevy Silverado. We've got a problem here. Make cars that you can make money on and you'll be fine.